Hello everyone, thank you for stopping by. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing one of the last books that I was set to read for October in my spooky season book haul. Yes, it is Thanksgiving, and yes, I'm a little behind in my reading. It happens sometimes. Sometimes that is just life, and you just keep on going. Just keep on going. But anyway, I think I might have saved the best for last. So the book I'm going to be reviewing is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Yes, by Grady Hendrix. This was a great read, really enjoyable, and let's just get into it. So this book is described as Steel Magnolias meets Dracula, and it definitely reminds me of both of those things. The premise of the book is the main character, Patricia, which we'll be following a lot. There are her friends, but she's the main one. But Patricia and her friends in this book club in Charleston, South Carolina, and their big thing that they like to read is true crime, horror. They love In Cold Blood and Anne Rule books. They're really into that and discussing murder and that type of thing. So that's their jam. So one day after book club, Patricia is attacked by one of her neighbors, Anne Savage, who basically just kind of tries to eat her. Not to give too much away, but she does get part of her ear a little bitten off. It's really, I don't know if he's a graphic writer, but you're definitely in the feels when he's describing a lot of the imagery and the words and the way he describes the scene. It's very, very good, because you definitely feel like when you're reading it, you're in there. Like, you can smell it, you can feel it, the intensity is all there. So he's an excellent writer at describing all that stuff. So she's attacked by her neighbor Anne Savage, and Anne Savage is taken to the hospital. She later passes, and she has a nephew, apparently, who's coming to town, James Harris. And no one knows him. He's kind of a drifter. He's just, all of a sudden, her nephew's there, which no one really knew about. And so she just stops by, or Patricia does, to see how he's doing after the passing of his aunt. And thus, we are introduced to the other, the antagonist in the antagonist in this story, James Harris. And yeah, he's a drifter, so he's in the South. In the South, and me being from the South, I can tell you, outsiders are kind of viewed suspiciously in general. Like, if you don't have family, you're just kind of there. Everyone wants to know your business in general, but especially if you're just like a new person, you're a stranger, it's kind of like, what are you about? So he's new in town, and then all these other things start to happen. And basically Patricia, who's a wife and a mother, she is basically being pitted against him in the story, and you're trying to figure out, is he a vampire? Is he not a vampire? Is it just these women and their suspicions from all the books that they read? Is it in their head? Is it just coincidental? Or is he really a vampire? Who knows? But you gotta read the book to find out. But that is the premise of the book, and it is a fun ride. What I liked about the book, first and foremost, is Grady Hendrix's writing style. It's written beautifully. And what I said earlier about just the way he describes things, you feel like you're in it. Like, all these scenes, especially the intense scenes, you feel like you are in this book. And I really enjoyed that. I also enjoyed the friendship of the women and their kind of dynamic, and seeing how that plays out against this backdrop of them trying to fight this vampire. There are some really humorous moments. So it's kind of like dark. It's dark comedy, definitely. I was expecting it to be funnier, but I think there was enough there. I think if there was too much, the book might have come off as cheesy, and it doesn't. It doesn't come off as cheesy at all. And that's just that's some of the main stuff that I liked about the book. The characters, all the characters are portrayed really well. We're really close to Patricia, but I also love the character of Mrs. Green, because when we're following Patricia, we're following in the South, a white upper middle class woman and her trying to figure out this vampire situation. And then you have on the other side, you have Mrs. Green, who is she's black, she's a housekeeper. For a lot of people in the town, she helps take care of Patricia's mother-in-law, who has, from what I can tell in the book, it's dementia, maybe Alzheimer's, but it seems like it's more like dementia, from the way it's described in the book. So, and I loved reading about her character and how it's shown the whole situation, how she's differently affected than these other women. And I really enjoyed seeing both aspects of that. And I think he did it really well. What I didn't like about the book, there really isn't much I didn't like about it. Some scenes were just really intense to read, and some situations that happened were a little bit difficult to read. I will say there's some stuff in there that could be triggering for some people. There is violence towards children, because that is one of the parts of the book, is that children are missing or they are dying. So it can be triggering for some people. Some other situational stuff happens, but just little stuff like that. It's not that I guess you don't like it, but it is important to the story. So just, you know, some of that stuff's difficult to read, but it didn't take away from my ability to read it. I was pretty, it's a big aspect of the story, and it is about vampire, so there is going to be a fair amount of, you know, intense scenes, violence. There will be that, but overall, I don't think it really took away from the story. Another thing I liked about the story is that I'm kind of a connoisseur of horror and thrillers in both books and in film, and I've been watching a lot of vampire stuff recently. It's been popping up, so I have been watching it, and I'll say the thing is, for the most part, for me, vampire stuff is, I feel like it's a difficult genre to pull off. But creature features and monster features in general are kind of difficult. And I think one of the difficult aspects of it is that it's such an old concept. I mean, it's one of the OGs of monsters, from Bram Stoker's Dracula, and stories even before that. People have been telling stories of vampires for a very long time, so they kind of have the same tropes and the same aspects to it. So I feel like it's a genre where it's really hard for people, for writers and directors and so forth, to create something new and original within the genre. So for me, Grady Hendrix, I feel like he definitely did that by taking the Southern setting, which we know has been done, but he takes it and just the dynamic of the women and like that Still Magnolias type atmosphere, and placing a vampire in it. I feel like he did the story in a fresh and unique way, in a new way. And even the vampire, even James, the character himself, he is not like a typical vampire. I want to give away what he does, but he's not a typical vampire the way that we've seen it in the rest of the vampire genre. So I feel like it's just a new, fresh take on an old story. So overall, what I would give it, I'd probably give it a 4-star, maybe a little higher, just because I really, really enjoyed the book. I'm not sure if I would do a second read through. I think one and done might be fine, but it was a really, really enjoyable read, and it is a fantastic book. So I would give it definitely 4 stars. Definitely pick it up. Give it a read yourselves. I just wanted to share one last thing, like that from the book, which is my favorite line. Come over here, because they're talking about how to get rid of the vampire. All the ladies are, and one of the ladies says, he looks at Patricia and thinks we're all a bunch of sunshine Susies. He thinks we're what we look like on the outside, nice Southern ladies. Let me tell you something. There's nothing nice about Southern ladies. I laughed. I laughed a lot. Probably because I'm from the South, and I know that to be very true. I'm a Southern lady myself, but Southern ladies, we are spicy and salty from time to time. Bless your heart. So if you've read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, please leave a comment. Please let me know what you thought, if you like it, if you love it, if you hate it. Please just leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts, because I would love to hear what other people thought about it. I loved it, but I want to hear what you have to say. So, thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, Zinyo!